Hello and welcome to the College Fairs of Greater Denver Virtual College Fair. My name is Krista and I will be your facilitator tonight. We have a few wonderful institutions that will be talking to you all tonight. As some reminders, you are muted and your video is off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. However, if you want to ask some questions, utilize the Q&A button to type your questions to the presenters at any time. I invite you to sign up for more sessions happening. There are more scheduled on the website. And all sessions are being recorded and will be available at the end at stripescan.com/greaterdenver. Now, first up, I invite Macalester College.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get my presentation up for all of you. And then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, here we go. So I am really excited to have you all in this virtual space with me this evening. My name is Ben Kaufman. I use he, him, his pronouns. I am one of the assistant directors of admission at Macalester College. I'm also a Mac graduate, class of 2016, majored in geography, minored in history during my time at Macalester, did a few other things on top of that. But you're not here to learn about me, you're here to learn about Macalester along with 5 of my wonderful colleagues. This is all the Minnesota room. So really, really excited to have everyone here in this space and excited to kick us off for our group today. So Macalester is a small private liberal arts and science college where students really do experience the best of both worlds. On the one hand, an inspiring academic program, again, consisting of the liberal arts and sciences, combined with the energy and opportunities of the Twin Cities of St. Paul and Minneapolis, Minnesota. Academics at Macalester are ranked among the top in the United States, with small class sizes, individualized attention, and collaboration serving as the pillars of the student experience. Students do work side by side with professors, not just in the classroom, but in laboratory settings, on study away, on stages, or in more than 60 courses that we offer each year that actually partner you directly with a Twin Cities business or organization. From the first year experience to your capstone courses in your senior year, intellectual exploration really is the foundation of a Macalester education. Macalester draws students from every corner of the globe. We have about 2,200 students that represent more than 95 different countries of citizenship around the world, as well as all 50 of the United States. Students do find richer discussions and a deeper understanding of the world through experiences both inside and outside the classroom. Every year, there are about 100 active student organizations where students enjoy shared interests, express their identities, and expand their talents, really helping to contribute to lifelong friendships and a strong sense of belonging within the Macalester community. We have student organizations that reflect the diverse interests of our student body. Those interests range in focus from art, comedy, dance, forensics, gaming, and Mac radio. I was a Mac radio DJ myself as a student, to things like politics, rocketry, slam poetry, and software development, just to name a few examples. Macalester does have 19 varsity athletic teams, as well as club and intramural sports. Our varsity athletic teams compete at the Division III NCAA level and frequently earn the highest cumulative GPA in the nation for the Division III level. Academic excellence, internationalism, multiculturalism, and service to society are the core values at Macalester that really do shape our campus culture, and they empower our students to create positive change and make a difference around the world. The United Nations flag has been flown on campus since 1950, and student-led social movements have been happening since the early 1960s, both of which are symbols of Macalester's commitment to a curriculum and also a way of life made stronger through diversity. And when I say diversity, I do mean diversity of many different kinds. Macalester does have a robust financial aid program, starting at the bottom of the slide here, that supports the enrollment of bright students, talented students from around the world. Macalester does provide a financial aid package equal to 100% of demonstrated financial need for every one of our students and families. 2 out of every 3 Macalester students or so does receive need-based financial aid. We do also provide significant merit scholarship to students. About half of our student body receives merit scholarship each year. The best preparation for applying to Macalester is a balanced and rigorous high school curriculum, embracing that liberal arts and sciences atmosphere. We do find it's important for students to have taken classes in all 5 core academic subjects during high school. Those would be English, math, world language, social science or history, and laboratory science. We do also consider honors, advanced placement, and international baccalaureate courses if students are able to take those as good options to prepare you for academics at Macalester. Macalester does evaluate each applicant's record in their high school context, and we do pay particular attention to an applicant's curricular opportunities and resources. So what is available at your high school and what have you pursued given what is available? We do also consider other factors such as academic performance, teacher recommendations, essays, leadership experience, and extracurricular involvement, all of which are thoroughly reviewed by the admissions committee as part of our application review process. Standardized test scores, so that would be ACT, SAT, SAT2s, and so forth, are not required for admission to Macalester. We are test optional, but we are happy to review test scores if you decide to submit them as part of your application file. To give you some other bonus facts and figures about Macalester, about 36% of our student body, or of our US domestic students, I should say, are students of color. About 1 in 6 students is an international student, while another 1 in 6 is from Minnesota. About 15% of our students identify as first generation to college students. More than half of our students conduct research with faculty across campus, and specifically 80% of our STEM majors conduct research with faculty. About 75% of our students complete an internship by the time they graduate, and 60% of our students will study away from campus for 1 full semester or longer. We do have a deep focus on collaboration at Macalester, not just academically, but also for professional, personal, and community pursuits as well. Things really are a little bit different here at Macalester, and as was mentioned earlier in the presentation, we really do feel that difference is a good thing. Difference is a strength, not a weakness. We are a community that strives to be better and better, not only for ourselves as an institution, but also for a better world. And that is Mac in about 6 minutes. Thank you so much for listening. I will pass it back to the facilitator. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Ben. Next up, we have Alex with Carleton College.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Cardenas. I am an admissions officer here at Carleton. I'm also an alum of Carleton College. I graduated last year with a degree in psychology. Now, before I get started, I wanted to give a fair warning, a caveat of sorts. There is an absolute 0% chance that I'm going to cover everything there is to know about Carleton in these 6 minutes. And so if what I have to say interests you, if you're interested in Carleton, check out our website and see what other opportunities you have to learn more about Carleton. But to get started, I always like talking about 3 things that I think make Carleton a little distinctive amongst liberal arts college. First, I always talk about location, which is a little ironic, and I'll mention why in a bit. Then I usually go to the fact that Carleton's on a trimester system and more about academics in general. And lastly, the reason why a lot of students choose Carleton, and that's for the community here. But to start off with that first one, Carleton is located within Northfield, Minnesota. We're about 45 minutes south of the Twin Cities, south of Macalester. Now, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that most of you, if not all, have never been to Northfield, Minnesota. It's totally fine, but the quickest way I can describe Northfield is, well, if you've ever seen a Hallmark movie, you have basically seen the town of Northfield. And if you haven't, Northfield's a small town, about 20,000 people, where our, how can I say, downtown is filled with mom and pop shops. You go down there, you know people by their first name. Like, I know the guy at the bike shop, his name's Doug. Whenever I see him, he probably recognizes my super rusty bike and he's like, oh, that's Alex there. But that's kind of the feel that you have in a small town like Northfield. Now, I mentioned that it was a little ironic that I choose location as something that's distinctive. And the reason for that is that St. Olaf, who you're hearing from right after me, is also from Northfield, but I promise there are only 2 schools in Northfield, Minnesota. Now, zooming out a little bit, I mentioned we're about 45 minutes south of the 2 big cities here, and there are a number of ways for students to access the Twin Cities. A number of students will have their own vehicles, sure. There's also a bus line that runs direct from Carleton campus and direct from St. Olaf campus up to different locations in the cities. And Carleton has a number of vehicles that we let student organizations use at no cost to any student to go to wherever it is that they need to go to. But to be frank, a lot of your time is going to be spent on campus. There's something going on every day, all the time. Now, usually I'll spend some time talking about winter, but To be honest, you're all from Colorado, so I don't think I need to tell you that it gets cold here in Minnesota. Now, moving on to the academics, to the trimester system. Carleton runs on 3 10-week terms every year, and we're also a small liberal arts college. And this means a couple of things. Being a liberal arts college means that we very much embrace and endorse the curiosity and exploration that students want to have. That exploration of taking classes they may have never heard of in departments they had never considered. Your first 2 years at Carleton are going to be a lot of that exploration. And the reason I say the first 2 years is because at Carleton, we don't allow students to declare a major until the end of your sophomore year, to the end of your second year. But it's not going to be all just breadth. You're going to have a chance to do a deep dive into your major. Every student, no matter their major, is going to be spending the better part of a year doing that deep dive, what we call a COMPS process, the senior comprehensive exercise. And it'll look different depending on what your major is. Psychology, for example, that COMPS process looked like a 30-page research paper. If you're a computer science, you might look like writing some actual code. If you're film, it might look like coming up with a film project. And at the end of every COMPS process is a presentation where you have to present your findings, your project, your research to other students and faculty and defend your findings from other students and faculty. Now, I mentioned faculty, I mentioned professors, and I want to talk about that just for a little bit. The professors at Carleton are amazing, but you don't have to take my word for it. For the last 12 or 13 years or so, Carleton has been ranked #1 for undergraduate teaching. Now, I don't know exactly what the criteria is for that, but I can say that the professors who choose to teach at Carleton are here because, one, they love teaching, but two, they're really, really good at it. Now, moving on to that last but not least section is going to be the community here. And I'm going to answer this. I'm going to talk about this by answering the first two things that come to mind when I think of Carleton campus. And I apologize. This is going to sound a little cliche, but the first two words that come to mind are supportive and passionate. Now, what I mean by this is that Carleton students are not competitive. Our campus is not very competitive campus. You're not going to hear students being like, oh, what was your SAT score? Or, what grade did you get on that test last week? Instead, you're going to hear a lot more of like, hey, I cannot figure out how to do this problem set. How did you do it? Or you're going to hear like, hey, do you want to study for the next test together? Now, I also mentioned passionate. And what I mean by that is that students who choose to come to Carleton either have an interest that they're coming into Carleton with, or they find something that they're very interested in during their 4 years here. And it doesn't have to be within your major. You can be a psychology major and do astronomy research, never having taken an astronomy course. That's what I did my junior and senior year. Now, I think the last thing I want to mention is going to be just my favorite tradition at Carleton. Carleton, it snows a lot, and my favorite tradition is one called traying. It's where students will borrow a dining hall tray without the dining hall knowing and going to our biggest hill and sledding down. But okay, that's going to be my time. Thank you for listening. I'll be in the chat or the Q&A if you have more questions, and I pass it on to my colleague from St. Olaf.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Next up is St. Olaf College.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining tonight. My name is Shannon, and I'm one of the Senior Assistant Deans of Admissions at St. Olaf. I'm going to continue the trend of being a small Minnesota liberal arts college and also being an alum of that college. I graduated back in 2015. I studied theater, but like a lot of what you've been hearing tonight, I definitely echo the sentiments of I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do coming in, and that opportunity to explore and really find what I was most passionate about was so important to me. Like you heard from Alex, we are the neighbor college in Northfield, and I have to say that I think having both colleges in such a small town so close together is a ton of fun. The football game against each other, there's like a great little rivalry built in, but also just having the resources to share is awesome. I would also definitely second what Alex said about Northfield kind of looking like a Hallmark movie. I think that's a great description. The other kind of fun thing about Northfield is that there's a cereal factory in town. And if you don't know, when cereal is being made, it kind of smells like cookies, especially if the wind is blowing a certain way. So I just think Northfield's a really charming place. But as you've heard with these other great liberal arts colleges, the community that you're experiencing day to day and most of what you do in your day-to-day life is right on campus. And I think the fact that we are so residential and that we are a little bit contained, our campus is kind of up on a hill, definitely has an impact on that tight-knit sense of community that we have there. And I think in addition to rigorous academics is such a big part of what St. Olaf students are looking for when they come to college. So there's so much to talk about in terms of what you can pursue at St. Olaf, but just a couple of things that I will pull out here. First, we have tons of different programs you can choose from. If you are interested in STEM, about 40% of our students major in STEM. If you're interested in graduate school or medical school or some kind of further schooling, you're going to be supported in doing that. But I think most importantly, if you are a person with lots of interests, maybe you want to double major, or maybe you want to major in physics, but also be in the St. Olaf choir or the St. Olaf band. The big theme here is that you can continue to celebrate a lot of different parts of your identity in a variety of ways. And I think the other part about that is you don't necessarily need to know going in. You have time to kind of put that puzzle together. I mentioned music. Music is something else that St. Olaf is known for. We have about a third of our students participating in music. And if you count theater, dance, and studio art, it's going to be even more than a third involved in the fine arts. And while we have great students who come who really want to major, want academic study in those areas, there's also almost nothing you can do as a major that you can't do as a non-major. So like I said, if you're a physics major, if you are on your way to med school, if you're pursuing law school, but you are a passionate musician and you want to continue that in a rigorous, meaningful, major level type of way, you would not be the only one coming to St. Olaf with that plan. That's a huge part of who we are as a community. And I think the ability to be creative, no matter what you're studying, really has such an impact on the kind of environment that you find at St. Olaf. The other thing that you see on this slide is our study abroad program. So at St. Olaf, about 75% of students study abroad. There are a bunch of different programs, but I think the coolest one is our global semester. During this program, you go to 5 countries in 5 months. It's led by a St. Olaf professor. There's a class in each country. You're traveling with about 20 other St. Olaf students. And it's a program completely funded by alumni of the program. So whatever you pay to go to St. Olaf, including all your scholarships and financial aid, is going to be transferred to the cost of that program, and you'll pay nothing more than what you pay to go to St. Olaf. The last thing I'll mention here is our Summer Research Institute. I'm sure a lot of you are wanting to do research, whether you're a STEM major or pursuing something else, and about 100 to 125 students work full-time doing research under a professor on the St. Olaf campus every summer. Again, similar to what you've heard, I think one of the best things about going to a small liberal arts college is the really intentional way you get to engage with the community on campus. And for us, a huge part of how that happens is the fact that we're so residential. So 95% of students live on campus, and that means that day to day, you are a 10-minute walk from 95% of your classmates, from the library, from the activities you're involved with, from the athletics center, from the cafeteria also, which was in my mind one of the biggest perks. We have great food. We're ranked 7th for cafeteria food in the country, so that's certainly a plus. But really, after I graduated from St. Olaf, something I was so appreciative of was how having that central cafeteria and having almost everybody have a meal plan all 4 years, the caf became such a social structure through my 4 years. I feel like it allowed me to not only stay close to my closest friend, but also really keep the web of connections thriving, because it was so easy to just grab dinner with a different person every night of the week. And I loved how big that made the school feel. So in addition to academics and community, people also want balance in terms of the activities they're involved in. So if you see yourself being active outside of the classroom, this is going to be a great place for you. And just to close off, I'll say that we are also a school that meets 100% of demonstrated need, along with Macalester and Carleton. So definitely check it out and see what kind of aid you might be eligible for. Thank you. This has been great to talk to you all.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Next up, we have the University of St. Thomas.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Chris Peterson and I am an admissions counselor at the University of St. Thomas. Just starting off quickly, just diving in. We're talking a little bit about our location. We've heard from a couple of schools in Northfield back to back. So now I'm just going to share a little bit about our location. So we're located in St. Paul, Minnesota, kind of right between downtown St. Paul and downtown Minneapolis. About a 15-minute drive from both of those downtown areas, and a nice kind of quiet residential sort of area. There's a lot of mom and pop shops to go to, different places to go out to eat. We're about a 5-minute walk from the Mississippi River, so there's a good amount of green space in the area. So that's our main campus for pretty much everything for our undergraduate students. But then we also have a campus in downtown Minneapolis, and that's home to our law school and a lot of our graduate programs. Our 2-year college, the Doherty Family College, is over there, as well as some undergraduate business and education courses are on that Minneapolis campus. But whether or not you're a student who's going to be studying something that's going to make you have class over on that Minneapolis campus, having that campus there is a really great perk for all of our students, because we have a shuttle that goes back and forth between the two campuses. It's a big, obnoxiously purple bus. You can't miss it. And it goes back and forth about every 20 minutes or so, starting at 6 a.m. and then runs till 11 p.m. So it's really easy to get downtown if you do have class, or if you have a job or an internship in downtown, or if you want to go to some sort of a sporting event or a concert or a show, go out to eat, all the different things that a big downtown metro area is going to have to offer. You're going to have that at your fingertips by using that shuttle. And then we have a third campus in Rome, Italy. That shuttle doesn't quite go there yet. That's something we're working on. But Rome is a really popular place for our students to study abroad. It's the most popular place that our students will go. And then it's the UK, Spain, China, and Australia that kind of round out the top 5 most popular study abroad locations. But that's just a little bit about the locations for us. And then talking about academics, we have over 150 major and minor options for our students to choose from. The largest being business. About 40% of our undergraduate students are business majors at St. Thomas. Our business school has accreditation that less than 5% of business schools in the world have. So it's a really great spot to be studying business. And then the next is the health sciences. So that's kind of the umbrella term we'll use for anything that is, for a student who wants to go into the health field in some way. So biology, chemistry, neuroscience, exercise science, public health, all of those different types of things. Then communications and journalism. Engineering is our 4th largest major. That's our fastest growing major. And then psychology rounds out the top 5. And something that I think is kind of unique with St. Thomas when it comes to the academics situation is that we're the largest private school in Minnesota. We have right around 10,000 students in total, about 6,200 undergraduate students. And so we're twice as large, if not more than twice as large as the other private schools in Minnesota. But even at that, larger size, we're still going to offer students a lot of personal attention. The average class size is 21 students. So you're able to get to know your classmates really well, get to know your professors really well, and make some really meaningful connections there. But then when you step outside of the classroom, then you get a little bit more of that big school sort of feel when it comes to like student involvement and things like that. So we have over 120 clubs and organizations on campus. A lot of those are going to tie back to the different academic areas, different majors that we have. And then there's more fun things to do as well. So things like the swing dance club or the board game club or the video game club, a ton of different things there. Another area where we're a little bit bigger school is in terms of athletics. So we recently made the jump to being a Division I institution. We used to play in the same conference as many of the other schools on this on this presentation, but we this past year made the jump to being a Division I institution for all of our sports teams. So that's a new kind of fun thing that we're going through right now. And then another way that our students will get involved on campus is through their faith. We are a Catholic institution at St. Thomas. And there are a lot of ways for our students to get involved with their faith while on campus. A lot of times, students will get involved through our Center for Campus Ministry and the different retreats and everything that they put on there. But then other times, students will just get involved through faith-based clubs on campus that are very student-led. So you can, grow in your faith in a multitude of different ways while you're at St. Thomas. Then talking just a little bit about financial aid. I think the past 3 schools we've heard from all meet need, and St. Thomas does not meet full need for students, but there are a lot of ways that students can help fund their education at St. Thomas. The largest of which is through our merit scholarship. It's called the St. Thomas Scholarship. We got super creative with the name on that one. But so that is a scholarship that you don't have to apply for separately at St. Thomas. Just by applying to the institution and being admitted, you are going to be reviewed for that scholarship. And that typically ranges in dollar amount from about $10,000 a year to $33,000 per year. And whatever your award is fully renewable for your 4 years at St. Thomas. So say for conversation's sake, you're awarded $25,000. You get $25,000 your first year, second year, third year, and fourth year for a total of $100,000 over the course of 4 years. So that can really kind of help bring the cost of attending college down to maybe not being too far from something you'd see at a state school in the area. I also always encourage students to file the FAFSA. There is need-based aid that can be awarded through St. Thomas in addition to what you can be awarded through the federal government. So I always encourage that. And then the last thing I would encourage you to do is to come and visit us. There's a multitude of different ways that you can come and visit campus. We have virtual visits you could do. You could come to campus and do a personalized visit or come to an event we have on campus. I just hope to see you on campus sometime soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Next up, we have the University of Minnesota Twin Cities.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Harville, and it's great to be here with all of y'all, as well as many of my colleagues from Minnesota. My name is Ashley Harville, and I am the Associate Director for National Recruitment for the University of Minnesota. One of the things that I have to say that makes me UMM proud is the fact that I am an alumna myself of the institution, but I have had a lifelong relationship with this institution. I have been involved with this institution longer than I have actually or pre my college years, if you will. I am a graduate of 2004, the College of Liberal Arts, which I'll explain what that is in just a minute. And I have worked in a variety of different places, including servicing the University of Minnesota as a staff member. But then I also have had the opportunity to be very engaged as an alumna within my community. As a student, I was involved in our very robust Greek community. So if you're interested in fraternity and sorority life, that's always a great fit, as well as a myriad of volunteer opportunities, educational and environmental focused groups, and then of course, leadership development groups as well. So we really do have a lot for everyone. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we have to offer you today. To get started though, you must know a little bit more about the University of Minnesota, and the experience I had and the experience that all of our students have would not be possible if it wasn't for the lands that we sit upon. It's extremely important for us to acknowledge that these lands are not our own and that they are actually the traditional homelands of the Dakota people. So we really work as an institution statewide, touching all borders of the state of Minnesota to ensure that our institution provides the proper support and resources and programs to really increase access to all aspects of higher education, from the research aspect to the community engagement aspect to the actual classroom experience for all of our American Indian students, faculty and staff, and community members. In fact, we do this for all of our BIPOC community, including our faculty, staff, and our surrounding community, because to us at the University of Minnesota, Black Lives Matter. Now, our experience once you're actually on our campus can be really multifaceted. We are a Big Ten institution, so you're gonna have all of that pomp and stance and all that pride and tradition you get with a traditional college campus, but you're in the center of Minneapolis, St. Paul. In fact, when you're walking around campus, you're actually not looking at skyscrapers or up at the skyscrapers, you're looking at them in the distance, as you can see here. So on campus, you have that collegiate vibe and feel with offerings of over 150 different majors. We are a land grant institution as well too. So you do have the opportunity of research at an R1 institution. We are one of the original 5 founding public institutions for research institutions, but yet you're gonna have that small campus feel with a 17:1 student to faculty ratio, and less than or more than 80% of our classes have fewer than 50 students. And in fact, I tried to be completely anonymous in some of my lectures, and that was very difficult. My faculty knew who I was by the end of the week. So if you're looking to be anonymous, the University of Minnesota is going to give you a great experience in the classroom that's going to feel like that small personal experience, but yet at the same time, you're going to have ample opportunity to be really engaged across campus and 900 plus student organizations, one of which that's specifically carved out just for students from outside the state of Minnesota. We call that At Home in Minnesota. And that is how you have the opportunity to get to know all those quintessential Midwestern traditions, if you will. You'll learn how to bake a variety of different Minnesota specific dishes. You're also going to have the opportunity to go to the Minnesota State Fair. You're going to learn how to go ice fishing and ice skating and play hockey even, which is one of our many Big Ten sports we have here on our campus as well. But if you're not interested in being a part of At Home in Minnesota, you have over 900 student organizations to choose from with over 200 different cultural groups that are actually located through 12 different cultural centers. Our comprehensive study abroad program actually makes it really easy for all of our students to expand their classroom well outside the state of Minnesota and outside the United States. Our peers actually call this the Minnesota model. Our comprehensive study abroad program is actually a known model for many other institutions when it comes to creating their own study abroad programs. And in fact, you wouldn't be too far off to find that you might see some Michigan students or some Nebraska students that are joining you on your University of Minnesota study abroad programs. On campus, we highly prize living on campus, and we have a very vibrant surrounding community of Dinkytown and Stadium Village, which is what we affectionately named a couple of communities that are located right around our campus. But we actually have a living guarantee on campus. So if you do decide you want to live on campus, that's actually going to be a great fit for you, but it's not a requirement. And if you choose to live off campus, you're right across the street. Now, I already mentioned us being a part of a Big Ten environment, and the benefit of being a part of a Big Ten environment, as I said earlier, is you have all the opportunity of research and academics and really being engaged inside and outside your classroom in your future career while you're still in college. But at the same time, you're going to have the benefit of 23 different athletic opportunities to be engaged in, many of which are actually free for all of our students. And you're going to have the benefit of tapping a network of alumni that are 500,000 strong. And in fact, many of you in Colorado might have just seen the Minnesota Gophers out playing at UC Boulder. Was a shutout. Gophers won 30-0. But all of our Gopher alumni across the state of Colorado actually descended in UC Boulder. And it was quite a maroon and gold impact right there in the stands, right in your own backyard. Now, what do you need to do to be a part of all of this experience? Well, you're going to need to apply. For fall 2022, it's a $55 application fee, which actually has been waived for Colorado students. Also, a self-reported academic record. Do not send your high school transcript. And then we do not require an ACT or SAT for fall 2022. So if you do have any questions at all, do make sure to reach out to us. We would be happy to set up your visit. And of course, you can always contact me, and I will drop my contact information in the chat to help you with your next experience at Minnesota. Thank you. And I will pass it on to University of Minnesota at St. Mary's.
Thank you so much, Ashley. So next up is St. Mary's University of Minnesota.
Hello, everyone. Last but certainly not least, I'm so happy to be here with you guys tonight. I always love doing these types of 6x6 fairs because I learned so much about my fellow institutions in Minnesota. Let's go. My name is Suzanne Duranick, and I'm here at St. Mary's University of Minnesota. St. Mary's is a small private Catholic liberal arts university. We are in the bottom corner of the state of Minnesota. We like to call ourselves the Miami of Minnesota. We are right on the bottom corner of the state on the Mississippi River. I am a 1983 graduate of St. Mary's. I'm the Senior Associate Director for Admission here, and I am the admission counselor who covers Colorado. I'm going to give you a little taste of St. Mary's in a very short video. We also invite you to check our complete virtual tour, which is on our website, if you'd like to get a little bit more in depth. A little bit about where we are located. Winona is in the southeast corner of the state of Minnesota, right on the Mississippi River. We are definitely a college town. There are 3 schools in Winona, which makes for a very vibrant, active college community. There's about 11,500 college students in town when school's in session. We're about 2 hours south of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're also about 40 minutes away from Rochester, Minnesota, which is where the Mayo Clinic is located. And that's important to us because we do a lot of cooperative programs with Mayo. We have over 40 different majors and 36 minors. We have an interdisciplinary general education program. When you complete that interdisciplinary general education program, you will have a minor. You have 5 different minors to choose from. We also offer an honors program. Our average class size is 20 students to a class, and we have a 12-to-1 student faculty ratio. A couple of our innovative and new majors. We have a 3+2 physician's assistant program with the Mayo Clinic, which is direct admit to Mayo School of Health Sciences. We have a brand new Bachelor of Science in Nursing, which is starting this fall. And we are also offering a brand new Health Humanities major, which is a program that helps create patient-centered, empathetic, and ethical healthcare workers. 90% of our student body lives on campus. We have a 450-acre campus. We have 12 different residence halls on campus. 15 kilometers of trails surround our campus in the beautiful bluffs. We have a trout stream on campus, a disc golf course on campus, and the 15 kilometers of trails are groomed in the winter for Nordic skiing. We are also proud to be named in just this most recent U.S. News and World Report as the #1 best value university in the state of Minnesota. Our student population, we're about 1,100 undergraduate students. It's pretty even, half men, half women. We have 31 states and 19 countries represented. About 17% of our students are students of color. Athletics are a huge part of the student experience here at St. Mary's. We are an NCAA Division III school. We compete in the MIAC, the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. We have 17 different sports, and about 34% of our student body are varsity athletes. Scholarships and financial aid. Scholarships range from $23,000 to $27,000 automatic when you apply for admission. We are test optional. We have additional scholarships available. Because you are from Colorado, you get an additional $2,000 out-of-state student grant. And we also offer talent scholarships and campus visit scholarship. Here's our social media pages, so you can definitely check us out. And now I think we're open for questions.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Now starts the Q&A part of our program. So we do have one question that we will ask, and if you can all just turn on your cameras. And there is a question in the chat, and please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A. I'm sorry, in the Q&A section. Please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section. But to the universities represented tonight, what's one thing you want a student or a parent to remember about your school? And if we can please go in order of presenters.
Yeah, so I'll keep mine brief. I want to make sure everyone has time to answer. The college search and application process is a marathon, not a sprint. So it is really important to pace yourself, remember to breathe, remember to take a step back every now and then to take a break, see the bigger picture. Don't get too sucked in all at once. Really got to make sure to pace yourself and breathe.
I think one advice I would have would be to never underestimate yourself in your application. A lot of students have a variety of experiences, and I would recommend that if you spent time doing something, to tell us, even if it's, something that you may not think we're interested in, we're probably interested in it. So when you're filling out your application, think back on everything you spent time doing and let us know.
Yeah, I think my piece of advice is that, especially when it comes to something like the essay writing, but I think this could apply to other parts too. I think there's so much pressure to find like the perfect topic or to be profound in some way or to be like totally original. And my advice is just to kind of try to put that aside as much as possible and just focus on being specific to who you are. That specificity and depth is really where we're able to learn so much. And it's putting energy in the right place rather than kind of needless pressure to be so profound.
Yeah, very, very similar to what Shannon just said. And this comes up a lot in the essay, but use your own voice. Don't try and be who you think that, we as colleges want you to be. Be yourself. We're gonna want people like you at our institutions. So just be yourself. Don't try and be anyone, be anything that you're not, because that is pretty clear a lot of times, especially in an essay, if you're not using your own voice and everything like that. So just have the confidence and just be you.
I would suggest to really just make sure you do a thorough review of any institution's application process. So then that way you know exactly what parts of you would like to showcase in that institution's application. To really be a successful applicant to any of our institutions, you'll want to make sure to, have the time set aside to not just review our applications, but to actually prepare those materials. So the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, we don't require an essay, but I know a lot of my colleagues on here do have institutions that do. However, we do have sections of our application, common application or our institutional application that allow you to elaborate more on extenuating circumstances or further discuss something that maybe you would like to further draw attention to. I would highly encourage you to leverage, different types of creative writing that have really told your story in different classes you've done, and just really making sure, like everybody else has said, represent you for you, but then also know that you should be looking at institutions where you could really flourish, that's going to challenge you, and that are also going to really like push you to really perfect who you are and who your identity is, knowing that is a continuously growing component in life. I know I'm still growing in my identity, and so you're going to continue to do that as a college student, as an alumna or alumni of your institution. So just be sure that you are really understanding the process. And one piece of advice, don't get hung up on the name brands. Every student in every school might feel like they have to apply to certain colleges because it's a name brand institution and their friends are applying there. Find the fit for you and go for that.
Okay, so hard part about being last is that everybody else gets all the great answers. I echo everything that everyone else has said here. I encourage students to, if you can, to visit. And whether that's a virtual visit or an in-person visit, I know a lot of us have student ambassadors. So if, we'd love to have you talk to our students that are attending St. Mary's or any of the schools, even if we might be able to find someone from your high school who can talk to you a little bit. It sounds cheesy, but when you get to the place, it's going to feel right. You want to find a school that you are going to succeed, but that you are going to be able to grow. And the more that you can experience that, either talking to a faculty member, talking to a student, doing a little bit more of an in-depth visit, the more information you can get, that's going to help you decide what school is going to be the school that you want to take.
Thank you all so much for answering. And that really concludes our fair. So give me 1 second while I just share this last screen. Thank you so much for joining. There will be a quick survey when you close this window. Please fill that out. I invite you to sign up for more sessions that are happening tonight. And a recording of this session will be available at strivescan.com/greaterdenver. Thank you all for joining.